Siman's going to show us what happens to you when you defend things online that are impossible.
Hello, welcome to today's video. It's going to be a bit of a short one, but Level Earth Observer here is going to show us what happens when you don't actually listen to what's being said.
You literally turn yourself into a dishonest, double-speaking clown. Look!
Time and time again, the flat earthers always say, but can you feel the earth move? Of course we can't, because we're in constant motion, which according to physics means we may as well be stationary. Constant uniform motion means we do not feel it. And it is the same as saying that we're not moving. The orbital velocity of Earth gets faster and slower as it orbits the Sun because of its elliptical orbit.
Oh my god, I think Leo here has something. It seems like Siman said we're in constant motion, which is why we can't feel the Earth moving, because it may as well be stationary. But yet the Earth accelerates and decelerates around the Sun. I think Leo's going to have us globe Earthers running for the hills. But what does he actually say about it?
So on one hand, according to Danny Boy, we're in constant motion. But on another hand, when we're orbiting the Sun on this sphere in a vacuum, we speed up and slow down because of our orbit. You can't have it both ways, Dan. And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. When you defend things that are impossible, you can't cite any practicality. You're forced to lie with your excuses, and eventually you get caught out.
Okay, Leo, I think you're getting a bit cocky now. Let's tone it down a little. Let's look at what Siman actually said.
Time and time again, the flat earthers always say, but can you feel the Earth move? Of course we can't, because we're in constant motion, which according to physics means we may as well be stationary. Constant uniform motion means we do not feel it. And it is the same as saying that we're not moving. The orbital velocity of Earth gets faster and slower as it orbits the Sun because of its elliptical orbit.
So he said that the Earth is in constant motion, which it pretty much is. He said it may as well be stationary, which is not the same as saying it is stationary. From our point of view, from our reference frame, the Earth is stationary, which is why we don't feel it. I'll move on to the rest in a minute, but we need to look at a car. I've heard this loads, but apparently Leo doesn't know about this yet. So if you're in a car and you accelerate forward, you feel it. You'll get pushed back into your seat. And then if you're driving at a constant speed, you don't feel that anymore. However, if you do an emergency stop, you suddenly feel that again, but in the opposite direction. You're pushed towards the steering wheel. You feel acceleration, but not constant motion. If you sit in the driver's seat of a car, and the car goes 1,000 miles, you are still in the driver's seat of the car. Now, the Earth does accelerate and decelerate as it orbits the Sun, because it's an elliptical orbit. But the differences are over such a long period of time that you just don't feel it. Because even when you're travelling at 50 miles an hour, and then you end up going 51 miles an hour from your frame of reference, you probably haven't noticed that. In front of us right now, I've got a demonstration of gravity. Essentially, in the middle is the Sun, and the little ball is the Earth. So I've got it looping where the ball orbits twice around the massive object in the centre. As the ball is orbiting twice, this represents 2 years. And yeah, we can see the acceleration does seem quite different. Obviously, this isn't to scale and an exact replica of Earth and the Sun. However, those 2 years are happening in just a couple of seconds. Now, to make this a bit more accurate, we're going to have to slow it down just a lot. Okay, so here we've got it down to about 5% speed. And as you can see, it's pretty much freeze framing because I'd need a hell of a lot more frames in this video to actually show this better. But, you know, I'm working with what I've got. And you can see that the ball is moving. We know that it's moving and it's trying to orbit the object around the centre. But we're not going to watch the whole thing because it's going to take a very, very long time. And this is still not to scale. But my point is, in this sort of scale, it's harder to feel the acceleration. And still, we're nowhere near the difference with the Earth. As we're playing through the extremely slow clip, I'll try another little example here. If you've got a gun and you aim it to me, and we've got some distance between us, and you fire the gun at me, that bullet is moving towards me, isn't it? Now, if I was to try to blow the bullet away, you know, with my breath, the bullet likely would slow down slightly. I mean, if we were to measure it very, very accurately, the bullet would probably slow down. But it's still going to be moving towards me, isn't it? And I don't think the bullet's going to notice.
Because your excuses cross over, and you end up looking like a double-speaking liar. incredibly dishonest.
That's a bit rich coming from someone who calls themselves a demonstrable realist. Don't you think, Leo?
Siman Dan's never ever cited a practical reference that backs the claims that would prove the globe Earth theory to be anything but a silly theory.
Siman Dan pretty much always shows evidence and gives citations where needed. If you don't accept the evidence, that's fair enough, I suppose. You have the right to your own opinion. But isn't it a bit hypocritical considering you yourself on one of your videos claimed that you don't want to talk about your own opinions or theories? Because if I remember, you're worried about being called a flat earther, which you claim not to be, despite the name of your channel being Level Earth Observer. Kind of implies flat earth. As well as the fact that you don't really demonstrate anything, you just talk. Which is fine, you're allowed to do that. But don't claim that you do it and others don't, when it quite literally is the other way around.
He's forced to defend space pantomime and then misrepresent. In between that, you get an excuse fest, knee-jerk silliness.
And you say all of this when the rest of your video, the next 2 minutes you spend just making derogatory claims against Siman Dan. Maybe try and spend more time trying to, demonstrate reality, instead of quite frankly talking about the people you disagree with. If you have some knowledge that no one else is seeing, then please share it. And I am going to end the video there, as I don't really want to listen to Leo going on and on about how he doesn't like Siman Dan. Thank you very much for watching. There are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to click on one, and I'll see you there.